Hello, my music-loving friends. For this craft, you are going to need paper. You can use all white paper if that's what you got. If you have any sort of construction paper or fun fancy paper, you might want to use some of that also. So have both of those on hand. You will need scissors. You will need markers for decorating, and I've just chosen these colors. Whatever colors you have or whichever colors you prefer, you can use those. And I have one black marker so that when I just want to write words or something, I have something just nice and dark to write with. You are also going to need some glue. All right, now if you've ever made a fortune teller or cootie catcher, then the first part of this video is going to look really familiar to you. But stay tuned because I have figured out how to put an additional secret pocket into the fortune teller so we can put a little bit more information in there. So let me clear my space off, put all my supplies off to the side, and then I'm going to talk you through how to make a fortune teller. So we take our piece of paper and we start with it portrait. So this is portrait. And this is landscape. We are starting portrait. And then we're going to take our paper and we're going to fold it from the top right corner down. I suppose if you're left-handed, you could do it the other way. The important part is to fold it from the corner straight down so that then this edge lines up with the other edge behind it. And then we're going to crease that nice and hard. Now, because I like to have my creases really firm, I'm going to use the handle of my scissors to press that crease down. There we go. Now once I have this like this, I actually want to get rid of this piece. Now some of y'all know a little shortcut that involves folding it and maybe licking the edge of it and ripping it off. But again, I like a really neat line. So I am going to use my scissors for that. So I'm cutting right along the edge. And then I'm going to set that little piece aside. That's a little piece of scratch paper for you. We won't need that for the rest of this craft. Okay, and now I have something that looks like this. So now I take that and turn it so I can fold it in this direction. And again, I'm going to use the handle of my scissors to make a really nice crease there. Oh man, I didn't line my corners up perfectly on top. You know what that means? Absolutely nothing. There is no such thing as perfection in crafting. All right, so now we have this awesome diamond with some lines on it, and those lines are gonna guide us in how to fold the other folds. So I like to start with the bottom. So I'm taking the bottom part of my diamond and folding it up so that this corner touches the intersection of those lines, the place where they all come together. And then I'm gonna crease that. And I'm gonna wait and do my hard creases all at the end, just so I don't have to keep picking up my scissors. And then I'm gonna turn it and I'm gonna fold the opposite corner. I like to do opposites. There we go. And then I'm gonna fold it again, this next corner, folding it up to the middle. And then I'm going to fold it again up from here. Okay. So now that I have all of those folds in place, I'm turning it over. And this is a good time to crease all of those lines nice and firmly. All right, so now I have something that looks like this. So now I actually want to do the same thing that I just did, but in reverse. So all of the little folds are facing down. I'm going to make it into a diamond again. And then I'm going to fold my corners up to that middle intersection again, just like I did before. Make a nice crease there, a nice crease there, and a nice crease there. If I'm going too fast for you, you can always pause this video and do it in your own time. That is the beauty of video, my friends. All right. So there, now I have that, and of course I want to make all of my creases nice and firm. So now I have this, and I want to flip it over so that I'm looking at what looks like 4 squares here. And to make it so that it's possible to use my fortune teller, I'm going to fold it in half this way, and I'm going to crease that center line. I'm going to use my scissors again to press it down, and then I'm going to open it up, turn it this way, fold it, and crease the other way. All right. So now we have this basic fortune teller, and let me show you how you open this up. You take it and you kind of hold it so you can see where the top opens up here, and then grab these corners and push together. You see how it opens up? And now all the corners are together, and then I grab it in one hand, and I find the little tabs at the bottom, and I open them up one at a time. Okay. And now I have my basic fortune teller. Okay, now here is where the top secret information comes in. We need to make another one of these. Now you have a couple of options at this point because we want our crafts to look pretty, don't we? So either you're going to use another piece of blank paper and eventually decorate, or if you happen to have some fancy paper, maybe you have some construction paper, or maybe you have something fancy like this, you're going to use some other kind of paper, if you have it, to make your next fortune teller. We're just going to make another one like we just did. If all you have is white paper, well, that just gives you the opportunity to do a bunch of drawing and stuff later. Okay, so let's make our next fortune teller the same way that we did before. So I'm setting this one aside. And then I'm folding, I'm putting it like this. I'm putting the interesting part down, actually. And then I'm folding from corner to corner. Strangely enough, my paper is square. My interesting paper is square. But if it weren't, I would have a little tab here, and I would cut, 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 cut. And then I make my hard crease. And then I open it up, turn it this way, fold it back again, make my crease, make it firm. And again, I know I'm going kind of fast because I don't want this video to be super long, but you can always pause it and do this at your own pace. Okay. Now I'm opening it up, and again, I'm looking at the white side right now. So it doesn't have a lot of decoration on the inside, but that's because I'm going to fold it up so that I can see the colorful side. So then I fold it this way. If you're using construction paper and both sides are colorful, that's also fine. That's not gonna make your craft not work or something. All right. So there we go. You know what? I started creasing every line with the scissors. Man, I'm gonna have to pick my scissors up a bunch of times here. All right. Okay, so now I've got my first set of folds down. Okay, so now that I've got that, I'm turning it over, and I'm doing it again. Fold to the center, mash, mash, mash. Flip it, fold to the center, mash, mash, mash. Do that with all 4 of them. Make sure you pause the video if that was too fast. Okay, and now I want to mash all those with the scissors handle to make sure I have really solid creases. Ooh, you can see the sun coming in through my window now. That's nice. All right. So now, this is where the magic happens, my friends. So we actually don't need to fold this one up into the kind of cootie catcher format. We have our regular fortune teller, and we have our colorful one. And if you just made another one that's white, that's totally fine. You can decorate that in just a moment. You'll see where it's gonna go in your fortune teller in just a moment. Let's actually open this one back up. So I'm laying it flat, and then I'm gonna open up like one little tab of it for now. Now when I open this one, you can see there's a little triangle of folded paper here, and it's kind of the same size as that one, isn't it? So what I want to do is turn this, and you see where this line is right here, this fold line? I'm going to cut just above that. Watch your fingers while you're cutting. So I'm cutting that off of my other fortune teller, and then I'm going to turn it so that these little folds are facing up, because I want to be able to open it once it's glued down. And then that's going to get glued in to this tab right here. Okay, so I'm going to do that so you can see what that looks like. Okay, when you are, so I have my folds here, and here's the flat side with no cuts or folds in it. When you are gluing, you do not need a ton of glue, and if you use a ton of glue, your project's not going to look as good in the end. So I like to put just a little bit along the edges, and I even like to flatten that out with my finger. So it'll be nice and smooth when I put it down. Okay, so now I'm putting that right in here. And now my fortune teller has a secret pocket. Look at that. And it opens up. Oh, I mashed it a little too hard. A little bit of rearranging to be done. There we go. Okay. And I'm going to repeat that for all of these tabs. So I fold this one up. I take my creative looking one. Cut, cut, cut. Make sure I know where the fold is, because I want that to open. Flip that over. Add some glue to the edges. Smooth that out. And then stick it on to the other one. You notice that I'm opening up that fold when I mash it down. I just think it's easier to get it to mash down. Sometimes you have to be careful that you don't move it around too much. But again, it doesn't need to be perfect. It's just a craft. All right, so we do the other two. Open this up. Cut above the fold. Make sure I know where my opening is. Little bit of glue. There we go. Stick that one down. Okay. And then final side. I'm not cutting right on the fold for these. Remember, I'm trying to cut a little bit below the fold. And that one, actually, I cut a little bit too much on the fold. And so I'm trimming a little bit off because I think my project will look neater at the end. All right, finding my opening here. Putting a little bit of glue on. There we go. All right. And then sticking that one down. You do want to make sure with this one, because you're going to be folding it back up, that you haven't gotten any extra glue kind of around where you meant to, because you'll glue the whole thing shut. That won't work very well. So now I'm kind of checking to make sure that I didn't put glue where I don't want it. Okay. And now I have this awesome looking fortune teller. Now, if you did this with all white paper, then now is your time to do some decorating on these tabs. So you can see how mine looks, and I just used other like creative kind of paper. You could have used any kind of color paper you want or plain paper, but now would be the time to draw some pictures or do some coloring on those. This would be a good time to pause the video and do that if you're deciding to go that route. All right, if you're watching this particular video, it probably means that you're going through Suzuki Violin Book 1 right now. And so we're gonna make your fortune teller specific to that. All right, so the first thing we have to do is take our very pretty fortune teller and fold it back up. You're gonna have to hold those tabs down while you're folding it up. Okay, make sure everything's tucked in, and then turn it over. And let's put it in the diamond shape. Now, the fortune teller helps you practice a bunch of different things. And the first thing that it's going to help you practice is just your basic musical spelling. Because you can't be a violinist and not know how to spell violin. That would be silly. So on our top square right here, I guess it's a diamond shape the way I have it facing right now, we're going to write the word violin. Let's spell it correctly. V-I-O-L-I-N. Now, the violin is played with the bow. So let's turn this upside down. All right, I have everything neatly arranged. And then I'm going to write the word bow, which is spelled B-O-W. All right. Now, there are two different ways of playing the violin, and so we are going to practice writing those words because you're going to see them in your music throughout the book and throughout all of the music for the rest of your violin playing life. So now I'm turning so that one of my blank squares is on top, and I am going to write the word arco, and arco means that we are bowing, so that's A-R-C-O. And then, man, this is going to be a big one. I wonder how we can even fit it in the score. We're going to have to write kind of small. In this little section, we're going to write pizzicato. And pizzicato means that we are plucking the string. Let's spell it. P-I-Z-Z-I-C-A-T-O. Pizzicato. And pizzicato is spelled this way, just like pizza is spelled with two Z's, and we don't call it pizza, we call it pizza. It's almost like there's a T sound in there, and now you know how to spell that. All right, so now I'm gonna turn my fortune teller this way, and I'm gonna write a whole bunch of different stuff. Now in this, we are actually looking at every little section of this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different sections. Wow, that's a whole lot. Now, the very first rhythm that you learn in the Suzuki book is good-dee, stop, stop. Some teachers say it pepperoni pizza, and some teachers say it Mississippi hot dog, and your teacher might even have a different way of saying it. But here's how you write it. 1, 2, 3, 4 dots that are all connected like this. They all have little stems going this way and 2 beams connecting them. And then good-dee, stop, stop. Pepperoni pizza, Mississippi hot dog. Okay, so that's one of the first rhythms that you learn. Okay, now I want to turn this, whoop. And once it's turned, I want to write in this little square right here. And this one of the next rhythms that you learn, and I'm actually, for those of you who know the violin book really thoroughly, I'm skipping over variations B and D here just for the sake of keeping the video on the shorter side, and because I know a lot of teachers skip around just a little bit. So here, your teacher might have taught you a rhythm that goes down, pony, up, pony. Or maybe your teacher says, grasshopper, grasshopper. Either way, it looks like this. So you can start copying that as soon as you see what it looks like. It gets dot, 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 dot. 6 little dots. And then we have a stem coming off of each one and a beam connecting with a second little beam right there. I'm actually going to come in close to that so you can see what it looks like. And back again. All right. So that's grasshopper, grasshopper, down, pony, up, pony. Now I'm going to turn it again. Whoosh. And in this little space, oh man, I'm going to need to write kind of small here. Because this one, your teacher might have taught you a rhythm. It goes, wish I had a motorcycle. Or your teacher might be saying, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Or your teacher might be saying, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Or I've even heard someone say, fatter than a caterpillar. Wow, so many ways of saying this one. But we need 8 dots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And each of them gets a stem on it. And then it gets 2 beams connecting it. So that it should look like this. Wish I had a motorcycle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Fatter than a caterpillar. All right. Now the next kind of thing that you learn, and you're still working on Twinkle Twinkle Little Star at this point, is a quarter note. I didn't give you the names of all of the notes. But on this one, man, I really want you to learn that one. This is a quarter note, and it gets 1 beat every time you see it. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. All right, so now I still have 4 blank spaces in here, and I need to fill those in. So we're going to fill them in the order that they come up in your book. So they come up like this. Half note, which is like a big circle with a stem on it. And that one is 2 beats. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And then when you get to Song of the Wind, you have these things called 8th notes. And it gets 2 little dots. Each of them gets a stem and they connect. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Turn your fortune teller. When you get way far into your book and you are playing the minuets, you'll want to know what this thing is. This looks like a half note at first because it's got an open circle and a stem on it, but then it's got a dot next to it. 1, 2, 3. So this is a 3-beat note. When it's drawn with an open circle and a stem on it and a dot next to it, it's a 3-beat note. And then of course eventually you'll need to know how to play a whole note. And a whole note is 4 beats long. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. A very long note indeed. All right, now here is where we start really getting into that magic secret pocket. Okay, so we're going to open this up. Okay, and in each of these little sections here, we are going to draw a little bit of the music staff, okay? And actually, now that I open that up, I think I want to close it back a little bit. This marker, not doing any sort of product placement, I don't get paid by this corporation to do this, but I'm using a marker that has a fatter end and a skinnier end, so I'm going to use the skinnier end for this. You can use whatever you want, you know, your project can look however you want it to look. So when we draw music, we draw it on a staff, and the staff has 5 lines. So I'm going to draw 5 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if you find, like mine, that your lines don't go all the way, you can add a little bit to them until they look very neat indeed. Okay, so now I have 5 lines. All right. And I am going to start by drawing my A string. And if you look on your staff, your A string is right in this second space right here. And the A string, if you look at the spaces and you go from bottom to top, the letter name is spelled F-A-C-E, face, from bottom to top. And your A string lives in this second space. So I've drawn my 5 lines, and now I'm going to draw an A right there. Now, when you are using this later on, you are going to want to be able to quiz somebody, or maybe have somebody quiz you and have the answer handy, which is where this tab comes in. So we're going to open that tab and we're going to put the answer to what that note is in there. So that we already said is an A. So I'm going to draw an A because that is the name of the note if I'm just giving the letter name. And then I'm going to tell in the little secret pocket, I'm going to write how that note is played. That note is played with 0 fingers on the A string. All right, let's close that up, and then the answer is a secret again. All right, in the next door little section here, let's draw another staff. We need 5 lines for that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the next note that I want to draw is the next note up, which is a B. And the B lives right on the middle line of the staff here. Okay. And in the secret pocket, I better put the answer so nobody can forget. It's called a B, and it's played with 1 finger on the A string. Let's hide that answer again. Cool. Right now, turn your fortune teller. You can even close that up and hide it. Let's put the next thing in there. Well, we've already done A, and we did first finger, so that's an A and a B. So we must be on second finger. So let's draw our staff lines first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. So the A was in this space, the B was on this line, the next note lives in this space. And you know, in your book, you're going to notice this little symbol comes up a lot. As in Suzuki Book 1, when you put your second finger down, you're playing something called a C sharp. And I bet your teacher will explain to you what that means eventually, but for right now, you can just memorize that when you play the C, you're playing a C sharp. Let's put the answer in, ta-da, the secret pocket. So that note is called C sharp. This is not a hashtag, it is not a number sign, it is in music called a sharp, okay? And the C sharp is 2 fingers on the A string. So now we have the complete answer in the secret pocket. We're in that space. It's a C sharp. It's 2 fingers on the A string. Let's close the secret pocket and let's do the next one. So in the next space over, we're going up a finger again. We need our 5 lines of the staff. All right. This one's in this space, so we must need to go up to the next line. And if we just played a C sharp, this one must be the next letter in the alphabet. That one is the D. It's the 3rd finger on A. So let's write the answer in the secret pocket. It's called a D, and it's 3rd finger on the A string. All right, let's close and turn. Now, we've used 0, 1, 2, 3 on the A string, and if you're playing in Suzuki Book 1, that can only mean one thing. Got to go to the E string next. And if we're going to play on the E string, we need some room above the staff. So I want to make sure that I write my staff down a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines with plenty of space above that. Okay? Now, I told you before that if we look at the spaces from bottom to top, that it spells face, F-A-C-E, E. Face. Well, face ends with an E, and your E string is written in that top space. Boom, right there. So that's your E string. We better write it in the secret pocket. So open your secret pocket. That's the E string, and it's played with 0 fingers on the E string. Astute observers will realize that I just had to cut this video because I wrote that backwards for a second, but I swear I didn't forget what it is. All right, so now I go to the next note. Got to draw those 5 lines. Don't forget to leave some space above it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now my E was here, so that must mean that the next note is on the next line up. And there it is. Now, again, it's got one of these funny things in front of it a lot of times, because this is called an F sharp. E, F sharp. Let's write the answer in. It's called an F sharp. That means F. Is this called a hashtag? No, it is not. It is a sharp. And your F sharp is played with 1 finger on the E string. Okay, close that tab. One more turn. Here we go. Open up your final tab. Now, gotta draw those lines again. Make sure you leave space. This is where it gets really important. So here's my staff. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we have already used all of the lines and spaces. Where are we gonna go from there? Our next note is gonna live on top of the very top line. And this, again, if you're playing in Suzuki Book 1, this is going to be one of those sharp notes. So put a little sharp sign by it. And then let's write the answer. It's called a G sharp. And it is played with 2 fingers on the E string. All right. And one more note will get you through most of the stuff in your book 1. We need our 5 lines again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh man, I accidentally put a little line on this. Oh well, my craft does not need to be perfect. Now, for this next note, we have run out of lines, we have run out of spaces, we have used the very top space on top of the staff. What are we to do? No problem. We are just going to add an additional line. What? For the bonus point, when we add additional lines, it's called a ledger line. All right, so the next finger goes on that line. So draw a little additional line, draw your note around that, and that, my friends, is the high A that you are going to be playing, and that is played with 3 fingers on the E string. Better close that secret tab, because now it is time to play with your new fortune teller. Close it all up, fold it all down. Ready? Fold this guy in half. All right, hold it so that fold is up top. Push, pinch it at the top, and let's open this up and open this up and hold on to that. And open this up, and open this up, and now what do I have? I have a fortune teller with all kinds of stuff on it. So now you are going to ask a friend, or your teacher, or your mom, or your dad, or your dog, who probably won't get any of these right, to answer some questions. You're going to ask them to spell the word. Let's say they pick violin. Out loud, they spell it, and you say it with them, and you both go. V-I-O-L-I-N. And now we're open to here. Oh, wow. We need to figure out. Now they're going to pick one of these. Let's say that they pick this one. Man, you have to figure out what that rhythm is. That's the one where your teacher is either saying down, pony, up, pony, or grasshopper, grasshopper. And so what you're going to do is you're going to do your fortune teller in that rhythm. Grasshopper, grasshopper. Oh man, we ended up back on the same thing. So now we pick another one. Let's say they pick a different one. This one, it's just a quarter note, which you only play 1 time. So you go, Now, the second time around, they're going to pick one of these, but instead of identifying that, let's say they pick this one. You are going to open it up And then they have to identify this note. Wow, that's a tricky one. I think it is my third finger on the A string. And if I'm right about that, then the letter name is a D. Let's see if I'm right. Oh man, I got it right. Awesome. And if they get it right, you have to high five them. All right? Or celebrate in some way. And that, my friends, is how you play with your fortune teller. Make sure you show it to your parents and your friends, and for sure show it to your teacher. And there we go. Happy practicing.